This episode is brought to you by SRB Field Rests, Buck Nasty Deer Lure, and ScentBlender. Smell the blend.
Folks, welcome to another edition of Timber Talk. I am your host, your buddy, your pal, your friend, old Polly, and I got the man in the shades because he's drunk all the time, Mr. Highline.
Good to be back, guys. I know you miss me every episode when you don't see me.
I know. I always miss. So today's show is really good, man. I think this is going to be an inspirational show for our listeners and our watchers today. We got this gentleman here, young gentleman. I say young, but he's strong. He's strong in faith. He's strong in just his whole aura.
Yeah.
His
So
aura.
I was thinking his aura.
His aura, right?
Exactly.
We got Greg Traynor, correct?
That's correct. Greg Traynor.
Yeah. And
he's coming here to speak.
He's going to be our guest for today. It's
Yes.
going to be a great show. So let's get into it. Greg, are you online?
Yes, sir. I appreciate you having me on your show today.
Oh man,
No
yeah,
problem.
it's great to have you, man. I ran into you. I saw you on Facebook, and then when I saw you, I was like, man, this dude, I got to talk to him more because it's just the way I read up on you, and then we started talking how it was like, well, let's get into it. I mean, well, first before we do, how was your deer season?
Well, my deer season was pretty good. I had a little bit of health problems last year with a pressure source, so I didn't get out as much as I normally do, but got out a few times and seen some deer, which is always good.
Absolutely.
Didn't see anything real big, so I let a couple pass, so I didn't end up tagging out last year, which was pretty unusual for me. But had a wonderful archery season and got out and enjoyed myself. So that's the important thing.
That's
Absolutely.
awesome, man. Yeah, we did okay this year, I think. I mean, we did all right.
Yeah, we did okay.
Yeah, we got
We'll
some
just leave it
footage.
at that. We
but,
got a little bit of footage.
We're one of them hunters. If we do, we get something, we're happy. If we don't, we don't.
Yep.
But okay, here it is. I'm gonna talk about it. Let's talk about your program, your organization, what you've been doing, Greg.
That's called Accessible Hunter, correct?
Yes, Accessible Hunter.
Yeah, yes, sir. Well, I'm a person with a disability. I'm a quadriplegic.
Mm-hmm.
I had a diving accident in 1999, and I broke my neck at the C4-5 level, and I'm paralyzed from the chest down. And I was a big hunter before my injury. I get into hunting like I guess most people here in Pennsylvania that started hunting about the age 12, and I got into bow hunting about 15, and I was really pretty passionate about it. And my injury happened whenever I was 31, so I had a lot of experience hunting, before that, and I didn't really think I'd ever be able to go hunting again. Whenever I broke my neck, it was pretty traumatic.
Yeah.
But I ended up doing my rehabilitation down at Shepherd Center in Atlanta, Georgia. I don't know if you've ever heard of that hospital or not.
Yes, I have. I got family from Savannah.
Yeah, that's Paul's neck of the woods down there.
That's yeah, we love it down there.
He knows all about it.
They are wonderful people.
Yeah.
Whenever I was hurt, I couldn't have gone to a better hospital. It's a specialty spinal cord injury hospital, and one of the first things that they did now, keep in mind, I'm still on a ventilator.
Right.
And they got me up into a power wheelchair and took me down to the gymnasium and showed me that people were shooting air rifles using, adaptive equipment.
Nice.
And that really motivated me to kind of think, well, if I could still do this, there's kind of hope. But I was still, in pretty bad shape. But that always stuck in my head that, there's a different way to do things.
Right.
So I moved back to Pennsylvania and back closer to my family. It took me a number of years to get stronger, physically and mentally to want to go hunting again. And,
Right.
In 2010, I started hunting again, and I started looking around the internet for, how do I do things? How do I buy stuff? How do I buy adaptive equipment? And there wasn't very much information available.
Right.
So I started a blog called Accessible Hunter. And it all kind of kicked off from there, where I was sharing my experiences and, kind of talking about how I was doing things.
Right.
It was just a good way to communicate with people.
I hats off to you, man.
Yeah,
I mean,
absolutely.
when you go through that traumatic experience, I mean, how was it? A lot of faith, a lot of, I mean, it was a huge struggle. I know with you going, trying to cope with all this hitting. I mean, how did you overcome that? How did you get that? Like this is going to be my life from now on. I mean, how did you overcome that in your
I,
mindset?
I think that, you know, mentally, I've always been a pretty strong person.
Mhm.
Physically, I was athletic. I ran cross country in high school. I took martial arts, taught karate for a number of years. So
Nice.
I was physically pretty fit, and I want to say, you don't have a lot of choice
Yeah.
Sure.
when you get hurt. It's you either move forward or you don't.
Right.
Right.
And I I have a very strong family.
Mhm.
They were very supportive of me, wanting to help me in any way that they could. And whenever I was hurt, it took me a long time to wrap my brain around it, but I never was kind of a woe is me kind of guy,
Right.
Yeah.
It was, this is what we're working with. This is the movement that I have. This is how I can do things. Now let's see how we can make it better. So
Yeah.
I just try to stay strong and surround myself with the right people that aren't negative, that want to help, that want to make things better, not
Right.
kind of complain about things. So
That man, that is like I don't know if I can do it. In that situation. Of course, I haven't been in that situation,
Yeah.
thank God. But I mean, I don't know. I just don't. I give you props. I think you're
Oh,
the strongest man
oh
I've
yeah.
talked to ever.
He's a true inspiration
He is.
to people.
He is.
And that's what kind of comes into my next question, which we're talking about inspiring people. And
Mhm.
with your accessible hunter starting in 2010, where you were able to help assist other people that are in the same circumstances as yourself.
I
Um,
I I am, and that's the big reason why I started Accessible Hunter.
right.
It's not kind of look at me, look what I'm doing, but
Mhm.
Exactly.
we're able to talk to a lot of people worldwide now.
That's what I was going to ask you. I was just curious on your program, like how many would you guess? Because I always like to let the audience know this isn't just some small thing. This is very massive, and we want to keep making it bigger than it even is now.
Yeah.
And I was just curious, how many people would you guess that you've got to interact with, or help with, or
Well,
touch their
well,
lives?
we have 9,000 followers,
Wow.
Mhm.
but I interact with a lot of people on a kind of like a weekly, monthly basis, where we're talking. It's kind of hunting buddies that
Right.
we're
Yeah.
all in the same situation. And I've got a good friend, Mike Hudson, down in South Carolina, that's doing great things with his organization, and we kind of talk about problem solving and different types of technology coming out, and kind of what we're inventing with zip ties. And I got a good buddy that's a professional welder, and
Mhm.
Oh
how
wow.
he set me up with my mount and things that I've designed. And then we kind of pass that along to people that are interested in it. And we don't sell anything. We just kind of recommend things and
Right.
tell people how we're doing it. And we learn from other people too, that you don't have to reinvent the wheel so much.
I'll tell
Yeah.
you, your chair. I mean, that thing is. I honestly, I'd like to have one because that's like
I
awesome.
gotta swear,
I
it's
don't know.
cool.
It's got tracks on it.
Looks like a mobile tank,
It is.
basically.
You guys will be able to see it
We'll
in the
put a photo
video.
on the YouTube for the
It's
YouTube audience to
awesome.
see. But yeah,
It
I,
There,
can dig. I bet.
yeah,
there's a lot more, good equipment now in the last 10 or 15 years that we didn't have starting out. And there's
Right.
several different companies that make, the track style wheelchairs. And it all depends on what you're after and what your pocketbook has too.
Yeah.
yeah.
Because this
Exactly.
stuff is expensive.
Oh yeah.
It's not funded through insurance. And you learn to adapt to things.
Right.
Right.
I love having the chair. It's like a tank.
It
Yeah.
is.
Gets
I
It
was
looks
just
like a
going to
tank.
say
gets me
that.
around.
You know. It is cool because you camoed that out a little bit too,
It's
right?
nice.
Oh yeah, you got to personalize it a little bit.
Oh yeah, yeah. And here's the other thing, like, do you? I mean, when you go hunting, obviously, do you like hunting out? I mean, do you have to hunt out of a box blind? Do you normally hunt out of a box blind or a pop up blind or anything like that, or
I,
can you just?
I usually hunt out of the pop up blind.
Mm-hmm.
The Ameristep has a real cheap, uh, easy to set up pop up blind. It's
Mm-hmm.
called the Dog House.
Yeah, we
And
have
then
one now.
last year I started using a Baronet OX5 blind. It's a hub style blind.
Mm-hmm.
It's a lot bigger, but takes a little bit more to set up. So whenever we get it set up, we tend to leave it out, a little bit.
Right.
But the ground blinds have come a long way.
Yeah.
I think because of people hunting with their kids and people filming for shows and YouTube and things like that. So
Mm-hmm.
the ground blinds have come a long way.
Yeah, we use a lot of times we use a Rhino at
Mhm.
180 where you can just see everything.
Yeah.
It's like window around there, and that's a pretty nice one. But it never ceases to amaze me. Like we talk about this every year. Our blinds are never big enough.
Yeah, they never
For
feel
us.
big enough.
It's like we need like that 6-person one or 12-person one. Because there's never enough room. There's never any room for me. But
That's a fact. I mean, if you put my wheelchair, my track fab, it's 30 inches wide, and then you put a chair in, for my wife or my brother
right.
to kind of hunt with me and film and things, it takes up a lot of room, and that's where that Baronet. It's a huge blind. It's a big profile. So
Oh, that's
if
good
you
to
have a
know.
couple of people, that bigger's always better. Sometimes.
Yeah, sometimes. And what you mentioned your wife goes with you and your brother as well, right?
Yes.
So, okay, so that's really cool. So they kind of help you set up and do they, go with you to scout, or is it kind of are you able to like kind of just go around and scout for yourself? I mean,
Well,
what's your process?
scouting, we do get out and look around.
Mm-hmm.
Trail cameras have come such a long way.
Oh yes. Yeah.
We're using the Tacticam cameras that come right to my cell.
The cell.
So that
Yeah.
that is a huge thing for me that I don't have to go out and pull cards anymore.
Right.
Right.
And I use four of those cameras that really help me out, and we can move those around pretty easy too to get different things. And I use them year round. I just had a fox on my camera this morning that was kind of cool to see.
Oh yeah.
But scouting wise, we do put in the time
Mm-hmm.
together, and then when we hunt, a lot of times my wife will sit with me. But if my brother goes, he'll go to his tree stand,
Mm-hmm.
and all I do is I Velcro my cell phone onto my mount. Then I can use Siri if I have to call him. I do everything by voice that way.
Nice.
Wow.
So I do get to hunt by myself a lot.
That's nice.
With him a couple 100 yards away, which is nice. That's kind of getting back to how things were, when I was able-bodied hunting.
And that's awesome. Now, do you public hunt or do you mainly just hunt on private property?
Good question.
Or do you have find? Go ahead. I'm sorry.
Oh no, I was just going to say I do both.
Okay.
I've got a couple of small farms that people let me hunt on, which is wonderful. People have some really nice property, and they know that I'm not going to take any bad shots or leave any trash laying around, that kind of thing.
Exactly.
And I really appreciate them letting me hunt.
Oh
But
yeah.
I do hunt public ground here in PA too.
Now, have you found that the public land? I mean, I'm not trying to knock anybody, but is there a lot of accessibility for someone in your position? Have you found, or is it kind of still they need to do some more work on that?
Well, I do have a permit to hunt out of my vehicle.
Okay.
Through this PA State Game Lands.
Mm-hmm.
So I've got a pretty big Dodge ProMaster.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you guys are familiar with it, but it looks almost like an Amazon truck.
Oh,
wow.
okay. Okay.
That's cool.
So I can fit two of my power chairs in it, and I just slide the side door open on public ground
Nice.
to hunt out of the vehicle. So that's fun. but most of the time I'm hunting private ground in a ground blind.
Yeah. I was wondering that if you could hunt out of your vehicle or not. And I was like, yeah, I was just wondering if you have to be in your chair or can you hunt in your vehicle? So that was the next question I was going to ask you. That's cool. I like
Yep,
that.
I'm never out of my wheelchair. I
Yeah.
know
Right.
some people can transfer over into
Mm-hmm.
like a passenger seat and stuff, but
Mm-hmm.
it's just easier for me with
Right.
my setup, my mount and everything with my sip and puff trigger if I just stay in my wheelchair and hunt
That's
either
kind
out
of
the back door or the side door if I'm in a vehicle.
Yeah, that
Now
kind
you
of brings
mentioned
me to
your
my question real
okay,
quick here.
go ahead.
I was just kind of curious. Again, I'm always in the kind of the schematics part of questioning when Paul's more in the warm and fuzzy over there. So we
Warm
love
and
Paul.
fuzzy, really?
But
Okay.
I just was curious just of the technology of this because again, as me going on a hunt with Paul, because again, he's the primary hunter, I'm the film guy. That's what we do. So we're always worried about making sound and oh my god, you know, make one little
Yeah.
ruffle and it's all over.
And you always make the noise.
And I always make the noise. So I was curious of how that goes about. Like, how would you actually do your aiming? And like I said, do you move your chair from left to right? Is that how it is controlled, or you know, and you just have it mounted set, or is there
That
like a special motorized on the actual mount,
well
or
that
you know, how would that all? I'm just kind of curious, and how loud is that? I'm just kind of curious if they've worked on that technology to make it a little easier for a hunter.
Quieter.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because you know how sound is.
Oh yeah. Yeah. Every little bit.
Yeah.
exactly. And I really prefer to hunt the afternoons
Okay.
because going in the morning in the dark, my track chair it is very loud.
Mhm.
Okay.
So what I try to do is I'll go out about 2 o'clock in the afternoon and roll into my ground blanket, get everything set up, and that sounds like a herd of rhinos or a herd of some elephants
Yeah.
getting to the ground blind. So I let everything settle back down for an hour or so, um, and then I'm probably the quietest hunter there is. Like whenever I'm in the ground blind, it's just me and my wife.
Hmm.
He's very quiet. We don't talk. My brother John, he's a talker,
Yeah.
and I got to look at him sometimes and give him the, "Hey, buddy, I'm trying to hunt here. Can you speak some?"
and, and that's another thing. Like, I know we like to use our ATVs and our quads and our side by sides to, load up feeders and stuff like that. Do you go out like preseason and just kind of like drive around with your chair so maybe the deer get used to that, and turkey and deer and all that stuff, or you just go out? Just
Well, I just go out. I don't know that they would remember me like farm equipment.
hmm
Deer get used to farm
That's what I
equipment.
Right.
meant
Yeah.
along
Yep.
that lines. Do you have to do that, or they just kind
No.
of they just
I
show up?
I just think showing up and then letting everything settle down,
Hmm.
and then the mount that I designed and Jesse made for me, I can move it left and right and up and down.
Hmm.
And if I set up on an area, it's almost like I've got a 10 or 15, maybe a 20-yard window where
Mhm.
that deer is expected to walk into,
Hmm.
Right.
and I adjust the height on my mount, to be about the right level on its vitals.
Hmm.
If I have to, I can turn my chair on, and I use the seat adjustment to tilt and recline. So that'll
Oh.
give me the elevation. But if I turn my chair on to like move left or right when the motors engage, it makes a really loud clicking noise.
Mm.
I'll do that now. I don't know if you can hear it whenever I do it.
I
Oh,
hear it.
yeah, I
Yeah,
heard
I
that. Yeah,
heard
we
that.
got it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep. So
Yeah.
that spooks the hell out of deer. So I basically got to try to set up where I think that deer is going to walk into,
Hmm.
and then I can move a little bit left and right, with my arms, that kind of thing. And then whenever I go to pull the trigger, I use that sip and puff trigger. It's just sucking on a straw, so
Yeah.
Mm.
that doesn't make any noise at all.
I was
Oh,
gonna
okay.
ask you about that.
Oh, that's neat.
How do you pull the trigger and stuff? And so
Yep.
basically, you just suck in like a straw, real slow, and then it starts gradually pulling the trigger, or is it just
It
like a
it's
one hit?
actually if you think about like an automated door lock on a car,
Okay.
whenever I suck in on that straw, it punches the trigger like using
Mm.
an actuator like for your door locks.
Interesting.
That is
Okay.
interesting.
Yeah, I
Okay.
was wondering it. because I've seen this before on like a couple hunting shows and stuff, and I've seen some folks use it, and I was like, is that real quick trigger, or is it just like real gradually? So that answered my question. Yeah.
Yeah, that's
And I was wondering about how you get that angle. So the seat up and down. And then when we heard that clicking sound, it reminded me of like our muzzleloader. Like when we click it back, it goes click, and them deer just look up at you, and they're like, "What's that?"
What's that?
It's definitely loud. So I try not to engage those motors or move, if I don't have to. And sometimes that's really frustrating,
right?
Or really good. I mean, you can see deer, and I needed to take one more step sometimes, and it just doesn't.
Yeah.
But if I turn my chair on to move to adjust it, I'm going to spook them. I just know from experience. So it does teach you a lot of patience.
I'll tell you, PA hunting is tough. We got one of our partners, ScentBlender. They're from PA, and they hunt on public land, and they said, you got all these rules, you got the width, you got the how many points you can shoot, so that's already tough. And then add on to what you're dealing with.
Exactly.
I mean, I give you props. You're a badass hunter.
Yeah,
I got to say that. You are. You got some skill.
And I mean, to be able to have that much patience as well.
Yeah, I mean,
because I know when I'm sitting there in the blind, and Paul just wants to shoot first thing he sees there, or he'll do one or the other. He'll either shoot it like when it's coming in, and I'm like, "What are you shooting then?" Or then he'll look at it and we'll have a perfect shot, and he'll be like, "Well, we'll let that one go." And I'm like, "What? You're killing me here, buddy."
Well, I mean, I'm always looking for the bigger and the better.
He always wants the biggest.
Yeah.
But yeah.
So your organization, have you met some people along the way? Some kind of celebs along the way, or have you met anybody that kind of like you look up to in the hunting world? Have you had a chance to meet anyone like that?
Well, yeah. I've hunted with a couple of different people. I hunted with Mike Stroff from Savage Outdoors down in Texas one time. That was a lot of fun. And whenever I was first hurt, I got hooked up with Wild Jaeger. I don't know if you guys are familiar with them or not.
Yeah.
Ricky Mills is now a good friend, and he had an accident. He was a major in the Green Beret, and he was training for Ironman in Hawaii and got hit by a car, and it really messed him up. And he and I have gone on a couple hunts in Maryland together and hunted here in PA, and I've got to meet a lot of different people that are both able-bodied and disabled, and you always meet somebody that's a little off, worse off than myself physically. So kind of there's so many people that are doing the right thing and out there every day trying to enjoy the outdoors. And
right.
I love talking with people about hunting for sure.
Oh yeah, so do we. I mean, well, that's why we got the podcast and we do our YouTube and so how can people reach out to you? Can you mention like your email address maybe and your page and everything?
The best way to get a hold of me is on Facebook through Accessible Hunter.
Okay.
I'm on Accessible Hunter on Instagram, and I also have a website, Accessible Hunter. So if people just Google that'll bring me right to them. They can also email me at accessiblehunter@gmail.com.
Okay. Nice. AccessibleHunter.
Yes.
gmail.com if you want to hear more from Greg. Now, Greg, like I said, you're an inspiration.
Absolutely are.
Anyone. I mean, you just a positive, nice person. And guys, you got to check out his page. You got to check out what he's been up to. We're going to post up a lot of videos.
Oh yeah.
That he sent us and
we'll
things
have the
that
links.
We've seen.
Links will be in the description on the YouTube video, guys. Those are going to be watching and not listening.
Absolutely. And Greg, like I said, you're an inspiration to all of us. I love your passion for hunting. I just think you're just a strong person, man. You really are, and I really do appreciate you coming on our show.
Yeah,
and talking to our listeners and our viewers. And you know what? I'd like to have you on here again sometime if you wouldn't mind.
I would love that. Paul and Chris, you've been very, very nice to talk with, and
Yeah.
I've been watching your YouTube videos the last couple of days, and you guys have a lot of fun. I think that's what it's about,
That's what it is.
Real hunting and real people. So I'd love to be on the show anytime.
Oh yeah,
we
we'd
do
love
appreciate
to.
it.
Well, maybe we'll film one of these days. We don't know. We're
we
one
never
of those
know.
guys. You
We
never
always
know.
just kind of go by the seat of our pants there when we do our stuff. We don't plan too much.
We try to. A lot of people try to organize us, but we're like, look, if I remember my hunting release, I'm a lucky guy that day.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? But
I do that. That's good stuff.
But once again, Greg, thank you so much for coming on our show today and talking with us, and we really appreciate you. And that's all the time we have for today on Timber Talk. Stick around, Greg. We'll talk to you afterwards. But for all you folks, like I said, this is the end of the show. It's the end of the road, buddy.
We made it to the
end. We
got
to go, Chris.
We gotta
go on this one.
Oh, yes.
So check us out wherever this podcast is broadcast. Check us out on YouTube at timberbucks.com. Yep. You can send us an email, check out our links, check us out wherever we broadcast. So
you'll find us.
I guarantee.
Just put in Timberbucks, you'll find us.
You will find us.
That's
I promise you. Well, I'm Paul with Timber Talk.
And I'm Chris with Timber Talk.
God bless you. We'll talk to you again.
Till next time.